So anyway, so let's start at 30. What I did at 30? Okay, what I was doing at 30, I had known. Okay, I knew Martin Marshall and a guy named Mike, and they. This was like in between jobs. I was doing this work for them. Um, Window tinting. They were doing window tinting and cleaning bathrooms for bars and stuff like this. So I was doing that kind of work at the time. And when I turned 30, and going on, window tinting jobs with them and stuff like this, and working the phones, canvassing neighborhoods to install window tinting in homes, which is what I did. And so Martin came to me one day and he says, well, I'm moving to California. You want to go with me? And that was like, yes, let's go. I was on board. I had 1 week. I had 1 weekend to leave. He told me on like Thursday or Friday or something like that. I quit. Oh yeah, and I was working at Altam Electronics. That's right. I was doing that. That's right. I was doing that work too, and I had to quit that job. And so I quit Altam Electronics and got my last check, and I left. And so, I think I had like 1 weekend. That's like he told me like one week before we left, I think. And then that weekend, the following weekend, on Monday, after that weekend was over, I had a yard sale. I sold as much stuff as I could so I could get up the money to go, and I left Monday. I was out of there, and I never looked back. I was just like, yeah, get me out of here. I'm fed up with my family. They've, pretty much distanced themselves from me. They didn't, have anything to do with my life, for my whole life, basically. And, it's like they had no interest in anything I ever did. It had already been come out. I've already, everything had already happened, and, that, pretty much, they just distanced themselves from me and treated me like a leper and everything else. So anyway, and still do, basically. So anyway, so I left, and I said, maybe this is the best thing for me. I was saying to myself, is to get away from these people. Because it was like, I still remained in contact with them. They still wanted me to come to holiday dinners and this and that and the other thing, and holidays. And it was always very depressing for me because, I had to deal with them and deal with their shit and deal with all their fucking bullshit. And, it brought back a lot of memories. My family, always getting into fights every fucking holiday. It was like crazy family because, my mother's family, I mean, she has the fucking crazy gene. Because, like I said before in another video, is like my grandfather used to like try to beat me up with his fucking cane when I was like just a toddler. He'd like try to hit me with his cane. That's like, this is what I'm talking about. Grandma was great. She raised me. She was like a mother to me growing up, and I love her very much. And she died on Valentine's Day in 1986. And she was more like a mother to me growing up than my own mother, because my mother worked, and so grandma took care of me. So she pretty much raised me from, a baby to, toddler, and then she just became too old to be able to do it, and she was living by herself for a while in a trailer park, and then moved in with my mom's sister, and that's where she lived for the rest of her life until she tripped over a heater, and she burned herself, and she broke her leg, and she died. That's how she went out. So yeah, grandma was great. But and I was her favorite grandchild. And they couldn't stand me for it. They couldn't stand me. They couldn't stand it. You know, I was a good-looking kid and still a good-looking guy, and you know, they just can't stand the fact. Here I'm like 50. Look at me. All right, you look at my brother. He looks horrible at 50. He's not even 50 yet. I'm just gonna turn 50. He's 2 years younger than me, and he looks older than me. He looks older than I do. Yeah, he looks older than me. So, you know, I've always looked good. And I'm gonna just keep getting better looking with age, I guess. They, you know, the inside is starting to show on the outside. They just keep, you know, my sister and I look at my sister. Yeah, she's got a pretty face and stuff, but you know, she just kisses my brother's ass, and she lies about all kinds of shit about me. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna get into it because it's just, they're all lies anyway, so it doesn't even matter. You know, my sister stands there and lies. She lied to my mom. She lied to my dad about shit that I didn't even do. Yeah. Yeah. So it made me look bad. So, you know, that's what she does. Okay, that's what she does. She lies, makes up stories to make me look bad. Yeah. It's pretty fucking fucked up and sad when you think about it. But and then my brother, of course, you know, he listens, and you know, he didn't even know that my mother took my $5,000 life insurance policy and sold it. Yeah, so I told him. They didn't know anything about that, did you, Danny boy? No, you didn't. And so, you know, you get to see how they don't tell each other. They don't talk about whatever they don't want to talk about. They don't tell each other things. You know, but anyway, I left South Florida when I was 30, and just after I turned 30 in October, and headed out to LA with Martin and this guy, you know, Mickey, I think, yeah, Mickey was his name. So it was Martin and Mickey in the front seat. I was in the back seat, and we went out to Los Angeles together. And then I stayed out on the West Coast for 18 years until I moved back here to the East Coast. So, you know, and I lived in LA, and then we tried starting a magazine there, gay publication, that didn't work out because, once again, you think you have control over everything. No, somebody decided that they were going to steal our magazine and make it their own, and that's what they did, because our magazine was doing really well, and they were like, well, he was a wealthy guy that Martin got involved with, and he was like, well, what do I need you for? I'll just take the magazine from you. And he did. And so we left Los Angeles and went to Seattle, and Martin tried to start it up there again, another different magazine, but he went about it the wrong way, and he was like forging checks to pay for stuff, and he was paying me with forged checks, and I didn't know about it. Okay, I didn't know. And you know, I thought he was making money, and you know, he had me convinced that, you know, I didn't know he was printing checks on the printer when I wasn't there. And so, you know, I never saw him do it. I didn't know what he was doing, because I saw him open up a checking account when we got to Seattle. That was the logos I saw on the checks. You know, I don't know. Somehow he lifted the logo off the damn check, off the bank check. Yes, and that's why I didn't even suspect anything. I said, well, he's paying me with, you know, the checks that he got from the bank, so it's, you know, and I was cashing them. Turns out they were forged. Yeah, and he got caught, and they took him to jail, and he faked a heart attack or something. They brought him to the hospital, and he escaped. But they also arrested me, and I spent a night in jail because they caught me at the check cashing store finally, and then that's when I found out that Martin had been forging checks and signing them and, you know, paying me with them. So, and I told, you know, the investigators and everything what was happening and what happened and who he was and this and that and the other thing. And obviously the check wasn't signed by me because it wasn't in my writing, it was his. So he did it. So anyway, went from Seattle to Spokane, Washington. I lived in Seattle for 2.5 years. Went to Spokane, Washington. Lived there for about 9 years, and then went from there to Palm Springs for about 6 months, and then to Phoenix for 3 years, and then to San Diego and Tijuana for 3-4 months, and then out to George's and Joel's for a year, and then back to San Diego for a year, or 3 years. I mean, sorry, 2 years.